Welcome to Mainland Focus on 98.3 Mainland FM. Time check right now is 8:41 a.m. Interesting days ahead, or interesting hours ahead, as we look forward to the governorship and state houses of assembly polls tomorrow. All right, so there's a lot of drama. The election has become battlegrounds for a lot of states, especially Lagos, Rivers, Oyo, and Kaduna. Thank you very much. So it's become interesting one where we have even incumbents hustling for their seats. Normally it's supposed to be a walk in the park, just as Fuhad has always said that the returning governors are not supposed to do too much work. Their performance is supposed to speak for them. I've heard people say that, or opinions have come up that, the reason why Nyesom Wike seems to be so influential in the politics in Rivers, aside from the fact that he's a governor, is the fact that he has one or two things that he can point at. It can't be said for, some other people, members of the G5, where they struggled in their states, to even deliver any particular local government. But just as we said, different states becoming battlegrounds, so many a lot of intrigues and dramas as we look forward to the Giba polls. Just as Fuad also said that this is now closer to home. It's now more personal than the presidential. Now this is someone that this is someone that you can easily see on the streets of your states or in the streets of your local government as regards the governors and the state houses of assembly elections. So but before we go any further, we'd just like to know the expectations as for this polls. Do we agree that maybe there's going to be some sort of normalcy? Maybe INEC has learned a whole lot. Maybe because a lot of people said, it's the first time that they were deploying beavers nationwide. It was something new for them, and that's why there were a lot of anomalies and discrepancies. But then, are we looking forward to INEC doing better this Saturday? Are we looking forward to the security agencies, since they've been able to monitor the situation? Are we looking forward to them?
They know the black spots already.
To them doing better tomorrow. Another thing that is a major cause for concern for Nigerians at this time is the cash crunch. It is still a problem. It is still a very, 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 very serious problem. And we have the fact that 10 state governors have come forward to say that they are going to, by next week, they are going to take the CBN governor and the AGF Malami to court for contempt of court, due to the fact that there's partial implementation. There's no cash. Okay.
Spend it, but bring the cash out.
Said okay, you can spend the cash. Okay, so where is it? Let me spend it. It's not available. So that's a serious problem. Even as the new notes are becoming scarce, become scarce, people are seeing more of the old notes in circulation now. So it's a serious problem. That's the conversation for this morning. We won't be taking phone calls, of course. We will take text messages, WhatsApp messages. You can send them as many as you want. We will be, reading them, of course, after screening. But then no phone calls, because, campaigns ended yesterday. So some people may want to take advantage of the phone calls to express their loyalty or their affinity for a particular candidate. Innocently. Are you sure it's innocent?
Maybe.
Are you sure it's innocent?
Always to give that excuse that.
Are you sure it's innocent?
I'm just saying,
What if it's innocent? Why did they drop it at the end of their course and they just cut?
So let's play safe, right? We'll take messages.
We'll take just messages. So the conversation is open. We have two now. What are your expectations for tomorrow? Elections, for the governorship elections tomorrow. What are your expectations for INEC? What are your expectations of even the commissioners of police in different states? What are your expectations of even people? Because there was some sort of voter apathy last election. We have to all agree. We can't have 87 million people collected their cards. That means we're expecting nothing less than 80 million people at the polls.
80 million. No. I was hoping that at least we would get to maybe like 50 million people coming out to vote. I was hopeful, really. Unfortunately, this turned out to be the lowest ever since 1999. And so we still need to question why that number of voter apathy. But again, we're hoping that this will be different. This Saturday, Nigerians are going to come out more this time. I think we've seen politicians now mobilize people the more. the campaigns have been more robust somehow, since this is closer to home. So maybe that would drive people to really come out tomorrow to cast their ballot, because what we heard from some politicians was that there are people who didn't just bother with the election. They just sat back, collected their PVCs. I know we've always talked about the fact that your PVC is not an ID card, just for a means of identification. It's supposed to be something that should propel you to want to be part of the electoral process. Because again, you can complain all you want. If you don't get involved in the process of choosing our leaders, then you're doing the nation all the bad that you can think of. So let people come out tomorrow, exercise their franchise, go out there and vote your choice, and then make it count. For security operatives, I'm hoping that they will be very professional. The last time out, I think they did a good job. They arrived early at most of the polling units, because again, before we even got to most of the polling units, the early hours of the election day, they were already seated, ready to do their job. And I think they did, relatively well if we were to compare what they did the last time out to what we've been having in the past. So we're hoping that they will do that again. The military guys, the army would also be part of the process. They, stay at strategic points across the state to ensure people don't move around to disrupt the elections, So we're hoping that the army would also be very professional. Like the head of the army is saying, non-partisan, don't be a part of the process. Just ensure that people are safe on election day. And now for INEC, somehow I think I was a bit happy that as at Wednesday, we're already getting reports that sensitive materials have been distributed in most parts of the country. So that means it's early preparations. We are hoping that the issue of logistics, which was one of the glitches recorded the last time out, will have been resolved, because again, in some polling units, election materials did not arrive on time. So at least this time now, they've learned their lessons. Like you said, this was probably the first time they were deploying beavers across the country. They must have seen the issues. I'm sure they've reconfigured beavers, no issues. The beavers are ready to be deployed. And that's part that brought the biggest problem the last time out. The issue of uploading results from the polling units would have been resolved. Again, one of the things we noticed the last time was because that most of the polling officers didn't even know how to handle beavers. Some of them, not most, some of them could not even handle beavers. So you had even voters telling them what to do, punch it this way, press this one, and it was quite unfortunate, really. So one would have thought that INEC would have retrained some of them or dropped them and replaced them with people that are more competent to handle the gadget. So I'm hopeful that tomorrow we'll see a better election. But again, I think we need to tell Nigerians that the voting cycle is not complete until people who have grievances are allowed to bear their grievances in court. That's why it's a cycle. It's not complete until people will feel dissatisfied. Because again, no matter what happens, even if everything goes 100%, results are transmitted, there will still be people who are going to want to question the results of the election. And that's not a problem. That's a way of also building the democratic culture. And that's why that provision of the court making pronouncements and helping people who feel dissatisfied to bear their grievances in court is also part of the electoral process. So we should also be ready to, get all of that. For people who want to begin to document election results, it's within their rights to do that. They have polling agents who can document those things and then hand it over to them. And I think that's just why the Electoral Act and the guidelines of INEC allows for polling agents. Parties are supposed to have agents at each polling unit to document results of elections, and then of course check them against what is eventually uploaded from the polling unit, whether something has changed and all of that. Those are documentary evidences that political parties will eventually take to court if they feel dissatisfied about the process. I'm hopeful that INEC will have a better showing than what we saw February 25.
All right, Sage has something to report as regards the cash situation.
Yes, the cash situation. Fuhad was already talking about, the dissatisfaction of people, maybe because of INEC's inability to follow the guidelines that they put in place by themselves. But then the cash crunch issue is still going on, and it's very, should I say, it is infuriating for a lot of people that it took you a while, first of all, to even address the court judgment or obey the court judgment, and then when you finally did, all you you did was to put out a statement regarding the cash situation. What follow-up plan was there? If you remember, at a point, the only place that you could deposit your old Naira note was the CBN, and there's an annex in every state. But that,
code and all of that,
the very rigorous process which people had to very painfully go through. And now that it has been reversed to an extent, we're back to status quo. So hand us back the cash that we have given to you, and the only way for us to do this is for you to give it to the commercial banks. And then commercial banks are saying that we don't have the cash on ground. Well, in many states, the governors are not taking it easy at all with the CBN. In fact, they're going as far as invoking the court to do something about this. We have states like Kaduna State, Zamfara State, who are Kogi, Ondo, Ekiti, Katsina, Cross River, Lagos, and Sokoto State, amongst others. Fuhad, I don't know if the respect for the court is maintaining a strong ground, because these are people who are supposed to be the major enforcers of the law, and they are very flagrantly disobeying the law, that even governors have to invoke the law to force them to obey the initial law. Do you see how very confusing?
You have to invoke the law to force them to
obey the law.
Which is the right thing to do, really, since we're a nation governed by law.
No.
We don't expect any governor, for example, to say, oh, people should go up in arms against the government. The right thing is to go back to the law and say, look, the Supreme Court, you gave a judgment. These guys are not implementing the judgment fully. Can you please compel them? And if there are grounds for contempt of the courts, why not? I think that we can. Again, all of this is helping us to build our democracy, build our democratic culture, and also, become robust eventually. And I said that I agree with the governors who want to approach the court to file contempt charges against the CBN governor and the Attorney General of the Federation. Unfortunately, they can't put the president along with this because he has immunity. But the National Assembly, after the elections, can reconvene to begin to now do the needful, which is the issue of checks and balances. That's why they are there. First, they have oversight function on the CBN. They can actually perform oversight functions over the activity of the CBN. The order is to compel the president. The extreme of what they can do is to start an impeachment proceeding against the president. That may be a bit too disruptive in light of the fact that we're close to transition and all of that. But they could begin to, for example, summon the AGF to question him on why the cash is not available in the banks. Why are we not getting enough cash in the banks?
We've actually gotten information, because yesterday whilst we were reviewing the paper, some officials of the CBN said that, look, we cannot assure you that you will get cash, because the CBN is trying very, very hard to enforce the cashless policy. And if they start to very openly distribute cash, it will take them back on the progress that they've made, though the source pled anonymity. But they've made it very clear that you might not get the cash because even we don't have it. And this is because they want cashless policy to be how we run our financial sector.
We've talked about cashless policy. At least the few countries around the world I've visited, they operate a cashless policy, and they have the technology. The technology is available, strong,
and the orientation.
The orientation is also there. A strong internet. In fact, in those countries, internet is as good as free, and it's readily available. You go to even shops, open
there's
places,
Wi-Fi everywhere.
so they have this cashless policy. But in these same countries, you also have easy access to cash. They have ATMs everywhere, so if you need cash, you can get it easily. Nobody is against a cashless policy. But again, the question should be, are we ready for it? Do we have the infrastructure? The stress test is feeling completely on the banks.
Yesterday I was almost I almost suffered loss of
you paid twice.
I paid twice.
I have a lot of pending transactions.
I paid twice.
I think you have a lot of pending transactions.
Thank God for God-fearing people that they sent back my money.
And why I have those pending transactions, I can't even go to the bank to complain. So I just appeal to people who have sent money to just calm down. I can't face the rigor, the stress of having to queue for hours and all of that. So we don't have look, we are even in the urban centers.
Yeah.
Just imagine.
So that
is the local areas.
That is where the orientation comes in. So over there, or in the Western world, the literacy, the tech literacy is very high,
and the technology is available too.
You have, the elderly, they know how to Skype, they know how to receive video calls from their children, they know how to use their phones,
they can operate their smartphones.
But in the rural areas in Nigeria, you have some people. There are some people that because of where they are, the environment that they are in, some of them don't even spend the big notes. it's the smaller notes they spend, because things are relatively cheaper in a
yeah.
lot in a lot of those
The rural
areas,
of course.
in rural areas. So those people, most of them do not even go to the banks. There are
They don't have smartphones.
There are some local government that don't have banks at all.
You are saying local government, senatorial areas, there are, look,
They don't have banks.
I think one of the
at
states
all.
in the north said, look,
Borno state governor came out and said, my own state,
how many banks do we have?
how many banks do we have that you are rationing and making people go to queue?
You know. So we have to face our reality, and I think there's no way you come up with a policy.
But I have a question. Do you think at this point that we are in, and that we are at now, thank you very much. That's exactly what I was interpreting.
Yeah.
Exactly. Where we are now, should we just all persevere for the incoming government to hopefully solve our problems?
But the thing is this disruption did not start yesterday. It's been ongoing for how many months now?
Since January, I think.
So 3 months. So we're saying that, look, we have to wait till May. That's another 2 months to endure this. And I mentioned something to say yesterday. It's easy to cause disruption in the system. To now realign it, bring it back, and then get it back to normal takes a longer time. Because again, there are businesses collapsing almost on a daily basis on this same issue.
On a daily basis.
I mean, the private sector did say that there's a possibility that we suffer some sort of inflation. Like inflation will most likely continue to increase, and now we are at the highest that we've ever been in 18 years. So 2 extra months. What sort of
21.9.
2-digit inflation. That's a problem. All right. The text line, let me put it that way, is open. 0913-6000-430. 0913-6000-430. It's for text messages and WhatsApp messages, so you can send your messages there and we will read them out. We won't be taking phone calls all through today, all through tomorrow, until Sunday evening. All right, so just bear with us, okay? Just trying to ensure that we're able to curtail some excesses of some of our amazing listeners. 0913-6000-430. It's for text messages and WhatsApp, because people are already calling it. It's for text messages and WhatsApp only for today. Please, let's adhere. Would appreciate that. So 2 focal points on the front burner this morning. The first one is, what are your expectations as regards the governorship elections tomorrow? Do you think that INEC would be able to improve on the presidential polls tomorrow? Do you think we'll see better improvement as regards proper education of the ad hoc staff, deployment of materials? Hopefully we will not see missing political parties again on the ballot papers, all of that. So what are your thoughts? What are your expectations as regards the election tomorrow? Also as regards security, what are your expectations from INEC? What are your expectations as regards security? And what are your expectations also from Mainland 98.3 FM? We will be giving you all of the updates from every nooks and cranny of Lagos. But if you would also like to know what is happening maybe in your home state or somewhere else,
we'll do that.
We'll definitely get you the information, because some people would like to know who becomes
we
the
have
governor
correspondents across the country
in their states. My state, for example,
Akim will tell you.
It's a tough one. It's battleground in Ogun
I'm
State.
from Oyo State as well, so
it's battleground.
It's battleground.
Serious battleground. I've been seeing Sheyi Makinde, his recent activities, Sanwo-Olu's recent activities.
It's been interesting to see.
It's amazing. This is what this should be about. People should try to hustle.
Power,
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you
for
very
the voice
much.
of the people.
Thank you. This is what you're supposed to be on. Like before, okay, this is
They don't hustle at all for votes.
But to upload the results, we have a smooth election, good transition, and then of course, like I said, let the cycle complete. There will be people who would approach the courts who will feel dissatisfied about the process, and then we'll also wait for the courts to eventually decide on some of the cases that will be brought before it.
Okay, so do you think INEC is going to do better tomorrow, or do you think it's going to be business as usual? There isn't much for them to do anyways, just do the same and let's move. Since it's smaller now it's the Lagos state
clusters now, smaller
now it's
clusters
the state
now.
commissions that are handling it, not the national body. All right, so let's have that conversation.
Yes, speaking about INEC of what really
cash crunch.
Yeah, the cash crunch. The cash crunch as well. The CBN too. We have expectations of the CBN, and the fact that they're with everybody's complaint, with the fact that people have started threatening to go to court, there's still no tangible statement that has been made. And when I say tangible statement, I'm talking about from the president, not the presidency right now, because most of the address has come from the presidency, via the media age. So it's never really been a conversation from the president. Remember when it was the 200 naira, when we were to be told to start spending the 200 naira, the president personally addressed the nation, which was of course in a way not obeying the courts, because the court did ask everybody to go back to status quo.
Yeah.
So do you think maybe a direct conversation from or address, let me say that, from the president would probably force the hand of the CBN to ensure swift delivery of the old note back to the commercial bank so that this money can start to circulate?
Honestly, what I expected, immediately the judgment was given, I think March the 3rd, was for the president to address the country within 24 hours to say, look, as a democratically elected president and in obeying the rule of law, the Supreme Court has made its judgment. I had a different mindset. These were my intentions, was what I expected to achieve. I was hoping to achieve with this policy was not aimed at inflicting pain on Nigerians. Yeah, he could explain himself to Nigerians to say, hey, the initial plan was not to inflict any pain, but unfortunately, it has turned out this way. The Supreme Court has seen the issue from this way, and to obey the rule of law as a democratically elected president, I am fully implementing the judgment of the Supreme Court. So, hey, Nigerians, the old notes and the new notes remains a legal tender till December 31st, 2023. One. Then the other one should have been the CBN. Immediately giving a memo. Like I said, it could be a one-page memo, one-paragraph memo. So the commercial banks will say, oh yeah, start to
circulate
notes. And then we begin to get updates from them on how they are now giving the old notes and the new notes to the commercial banks. Look, because of the peculiarities of this issue, we can have daily briefings from spokespersons of the CBN talking to Nigerians and
just as we had the pandemic
getting updates to say, okay, now we've moved this amount of money out, these banks now have it, this is how we are dispensing these notes, so that can at least douse the tension and of course bring again some form of credibility to the operations of the CBN. But what do we have now? So the only time was just the memo that this thing should become notes. Where the new notes are, we don't have information.
Which was not even signed by Emefiele himself.
I think he has abandoned Nigeria. He doesn't want to talk to us.
He's angry.
He's angry. But it's okay for him to do whatever he wants to do. But again, history will judge him, whether for good or bad. But again, we expect that daily briefings, daily conversations on how the operations is getting better. But we're not getting anything. It's unfortunate.
Thank you very much, Fuhad and Sage. My name still remains Mobola Sandra. This is Mainland Focus on 98.3 Mainland FM. We have some messages here. I have tomorrow, especially in Lagos, I'm expecting more disenfranchisement through different means and low turnout of voters. I hope one military man can be attached to the police at every unit. The general from Pedro giving his own contribution. I also have good morning, Sandra and Fuhad. Honestly, I still maintain that INEC cannot be trusted for anything, but I will still advise Nigerians to go out massively to cast their votes for the candidates of their choice without any form of intimidation. And I will strongly advise the security men to be more alert, awake and alive to protect the vote, because I know people, especially the youth, will still come out to exercise their franchise. But the whole turnout could be poor if the security level is uncertain. And I really want to appeal to our youth to desist from any form of thuggery tomorrow and allow the whole exercise to run smoothly. God bless Nigeria. Damlola from Alaba. Thank you very much. I think Damlola reported, that there were some issues, in Alaba last time. Yeah. So, for him to still stay positive, I hope that, that positive energy can resound across the country. Good morning. Again, I still say we are far behind. And maybe these politicians are dragging us far behind. At this time and age of brilliant and intelligent people, we as Nigerians do this type of voting. This type of election voting process befits us. They bring one thing, we're applauding, and they manufacture issues with it, and which we know shouldn't be, and we're back to square one. We haven't really sat down to think about this, because having an almost 99% credible is not rocket science. But because of some underground people who is slowing the progress of Nigeria, what's the difference before and after the Supreme Court judgment? People are still buying money. no cash in circulation, everywhere is still tight, and we have leaders who will still come and promise us heaven and earth and be begging us to vote them. God is still on the throne. Andrew from Yaba. Thank you very much.
Maybe God is still on the throne, part of it.
God is still on the throne, and there's nothing anybody
And he watches over
can
us,
do.
seeing our activities.
Unfortunately, the governors do not have powers on this cash issue. If not, they will go and bring the cash from wherever it is because they are desperate at this
But
time.
you know that's also caused to question the
Monopoly?
assumptions out there for people who initially supported the CBN to say, oh, some of these governors already have huge amounts of money kept somewhere. So, you know,
at this time,
so they would have brought
that
it out.
eyes are red, that people are licking ice cream in malls. They will bring out this cash.
Yeah.
Where is the
But
cash?
now I don't think even them they have the
So,
cash. So what? Well, we don't know.
We don't know.
Maybe they're trying to play safe. Awolo Christopher from Shogunle. I believe INEC will do better, trying in vain to improve on its badly shattered image. Voter apathy and violence would be expected in Lagos State because of intimidation. Rivers, Enugu, Kano, Kaduna, Abia, including Nasarawa states are places to watch. Thankfully, we have correspondence in all these places.
All these states, yeah.
Unfortunately, security agents will not be of much help. Take it or leave it. I'll leave it. On the Nigeria Police Force, why can't the election allowances and salary increment be paid? While the military, pension and gratuity are worthless. While the military and the DSS will be happy to retire, it's not so for police officers. The crude neglect of police will continue to ill-visit the society. As it is today, only unreasonable police officer will endanger his or her life for the force. The media should try to focus their gaze on the police. Thank you. I think. Thank you for bringing this to our attention. I think
Awolo has a kind of relationship with the police. I think he has always talked about police reforms and
maybe he's a policeman.
I don't
maybe
know.
his brother is
but I think he has some kind of information about police welfare and their activity. And I think that would also go into the conversation of police reforms. You know, their packages. How do we even pay them? The way they appear. The average soldier comes out and you see them neatly dressed. You know. Prompt and you just but again
so many gators.
Apart from that, even I think until recent time that we've seen some improvement in police stations, in their buildings. I think there have been some renovations of most of these police stations.
Well,
but
the
really,
report is that most of these buildings, they're not renovations, they're mostly CSR by different private or corporate bodies coming together to do their own part. Because if you look closely at most of them,
CSRs,
you see the names
of people helping to. Well, if that's the way we can get at, because again, it starts from where you operate from.
If a particular human being is the one that's responsible for attending to the welfare of a police station in his community, what do you think those police people will do for that person?
Well honestly, it's not a problem to have companies, individuals help with renovation of police stations, buy vehicles for them and all of that. And I don't expect that they will do that and of course have some influence over the police. They're supposed to be professional. But again, I think the government needs to step up and look at the welfare of our policemen. The way they appear a lot of times cause to question whether we're really taking care of them. Their barracks, just visit their barracks and see situation of things there.
The barracks is definitely,
and even the police stations too. A lot of times, if you had to go there for anything, you see that the environment is always a bit untidy.
The police stations, the barracks, their vehicles.
But again, like one of the comedians really said recently that who are the people that like to bash police cars?
Or is the police that is bashing their car by themselves?
Because they give them new vehicles and in 1, 2, 3 months the thing is already becoming.
In that message there was something about the police might not be of much help, and I think it comes to question that policemen are not allowed to bear arms anywhere close to the polling unit. In the event that there's an attack, what exactly are the policemen supposed to do?
No, they are not supposed to be at the polling units. There are policemen stationed at the polling units. Those ones are not supposed to carry arms. But there are others in strategic positions at bus stops with arms. Yes, should people want to, so it's
that goes on to
so they respond. They respond.
Okay. All right. Okay. So let's carry on. We also have here Sandra. I greet you, Fuhad and Sage. Mr. Fuhad, talking about security in tomorrow's election, I'm surprised that in spite of the viral video, when someone is threatening Mama Chinedu not to come out and vote, the police has not apprehended the fellow. Are some people above the law? It's a shame that Lagos has degenerated to this abyss. What a shame. Okangbelina from Mafoluku. I saw the video. Did you see the video?
But you know the thing about videos is because of our own job is that we need to probe and check and recheck again. But I think that what our youths can do tomorrow, and I like the fact that that conversation is already out there, as much as they can, in safe areas to keep themselves safe and all of that. I think they should use their phones a lot tomorrow to take documentary evidence of some of these things. It will help. For people who follow politics very well, I remember the Osun election between I think Oyinlola and Aregbesola in those days. One of the things that helped the Aregbesola case in court was that I think there was even the time that some of them were even using they used some cameras hidden in wristwatches to take documentary evidence at that time. And those documentary evidences were presented in court. And it helped Aregbesola's case. And that was how he emerged as governor. Because then they presented how votes were rigged and all of that, and a lot of videos helped Aregbesola to prove his case in court. So
documentary evidences of any form of intimidation,
violence, vote rigging, manipulation of the results or anything, as much as they can. Although the INEC guidelines also
so we should not carry our phone.
Agents are allowed.
No.
Yeah.
If I read it correctly. Or if I interpreted it correctly,
okay.
He said booth.
Yes, where you are casting your exactly at the polling booth,
not the polling unit.
But you can, of course, polling unit. We saw people record videos. A song, a viral song is out there. I think it was from a polling unit. So what I'm saying is that luckily a lot of us have smartphones as much as you can. That's what they call citizen journalism. You can use your phones to take evidences only when you are safe to do so.
Speaking of evidences, of course, WhatsApp line, it will also be open tomorrow. Please do well to send all of the evidences.
If you have pictures, form of intimidation.
We won't be taking voice notes because somebody can sit in their house and
record
it. So pictures, all right, videos. Of course, we have our fact checkers here that will definitely go through it and verify. So if you have anything, I appreciate what Kazim from Ajibola did last at the governorship election. Kazim from Ajibola, James Ogbonna in Oshodi, Adamlola from Malaba also put in some information. So we can all do what we can. Mainland FM will be live tomorrow all through the election process. Some people attested to the fact that they saw our buses and our cars
and we'll be out there tomorrow
on the road. So so we will definitely be scattered all over Lagos trying to get as much information as we can as regards YouTube at Mainland. Countries are moving, and thank you very much, Jato Jesse. We'll move forward by God's grace. Okay, so we also have Sandra and Fuhad agent, but we've been reassured to so many abracadabra that goes INEC and most
level to the state level, and it was just they gave us direct questions were raised about some. I think there was a time the Labour Party results were missing for like about 10,000 votes. Missing in a particular. Are well trained to take evidences, to monitor the process, and that's why each political party also has a situation room. Serious political parties. Those serious political parties.
I don't like it.
The party dissolved.
I'm just saying. Because the activities of some political parties, I'm sure they are not serious. But for serious political parties, I'm sure they are.
It's just solidarity.
Okay.
Whatever when people share ideologies.
But the reality is that I'm sure serious political parties have their situation room, they have their agents who will be feeding them with reports.
All right.
And then, these things will work eventually.
Let's take more messages. National Peace Committee here again with their usual preaching.
They should preach.
They should preach. But there's a caveat. Without consequence to the offenders and justice to those intimidated. We'll have a conversation on that. And this is not even on the focus. Thank you very much, Chika Bende from Trade Fair. I can't take the second part of your message because it's not even part of the focus for today.
I know what
but it's okay. It's on something about a list that somebody is number 10 on that list. All right. So this particular one now, yes, it's not constitutional. It's they are not constitutionally obligated
to do anything
or lawfully obligated. It's just a gentleman agreement, but do you think it should be something that should be included in the Electoral Act or something, like if your party's... Yes, it is. Sorry. Yes, it is. But since there are peace accords and all of that, and you have evidences of people doing certain things as regards intimidation and all of that, why can't there be consequences for such political parties and their supporters?
Until electoral offenders are prosecuted and we see people going to jail, it will not stop. And when I say electoral offenders, it's across board. I'm talking about INEC officials. I talk about the ordinary electorates, voters out there who go around do all manner of things. And then also politicians who induce and, of course, encourage these things. Until we see people getting arrested, prosecuted, and maybe end up spending some time in jail, these things will not stop. So we're hoping that, again, INEC has promised that they will be prosecuting people eventually, even some of the officials who have been found culpable. So we need to understand that the peace accord is good. Again, it sets the tone for everybody to say, oh, we just want peace and all of it. A gentleman agreement is not constitutional, but it is important that we do these things. It's for sake of perception too.
There's one particular conversation that I have been waiting, and I can't believe it's not in the papers, but I've been waiting for us to have a conversation around it. So in about 2 confirmed different parts of the state,
yes,
there's going to be Oro Festival.
All right. My state, Lagos.
You're
yes.
a Lagosian.
Yeah.
So please help me understand. Yes, from the curfew, it's between 10 p.m. and 5:30, so it's not during voting hours, anyways.
Yes.
But then because of movement, at that time, you go home 2 a.m.
Yesterday. Yeah.
Okay.
Traffic.
So traffic. What if we have such a situation?
Well, again.
Because one of Kazim from Ajibola is the one that sent us, that we need to talk about is that will it affect people's movements tomorrow?
Well, it's good that the information got out early enough for people to decide how they want to really
do their movements.
Because again, I think it was announced about a day or 2 ago.
Yes.
So I'm sure people are already taking note of that and already planning their movements ahead of when it's. Yeah.
I'm sorry. It's actually the one for Ikorodu is actually from Friday 10 p.m. to 5:30 Sunday morning.
No,
so there should not be any movement on Saturday.
No. You see, we have to be careful with this information. I think I'm saying I've seen these things. I have not seen any announcement anywhere. The only area where the oral thing has been announced is Etiosa
Island.
Yes. Every other one from me, I think, is just
the Ikorodu one.
It's just misinformation. I need to tell you that. The reality is that, and the legal share have issued a statement to say, look, it's not going to get to Saturday. It ends, I think, on Friday.
Yeah, I know that one. That's 5:30.
And there have been situations like that. But again, I'm not the custodian of culture and tradition in Lagos because I don't know how the gods, the small G now works. I would have said they should postpone it. I'm just saying, but I don't know how the gods will take postponement of their activities. Are you serious that you are laughing?
No. It was how he started. He said, "I don't know how their gods work." It's okay. The gods that demanded the Oro festival.
So that somebody will not
if
say
they can appeal to them.
The gods will say,
please,
we have election.
Don't be angry.
This thing that you demanded for, can we move it till after the election? But if the gods are saying no, it must happen.
What if it's something that they have prepared for? Maybe they ask for a postponement from 11th to 18th.
We're already analyzing the gods. It's dangerous. What I'm saying is that I'm not the custodian of culture and tradition in these areas, so I don't know how those things work. But I'm just saying that if it was easy to appeal to the gods to say, this thing that you wanted, we'll move it forward so that people can move around and all of that. But again, I'm sure that security operatives will be moving around, Sandra.
So let's work with this. So this is just a flyer that we're working that we do as regards the Ikorodu one.
I'm sure
but the one for Etiosa is confirmed.
But the Oba has come out to say it's not going to affect movement during the elections. Yeah, so let's just
Etiosa is confirmed, but this Ikorodu one because the information in it, if you read through, is very, very.
I say it's misinformation, Sandra.
But we'll wait for Hamida.
I think I'm telling you that it's misinformation.
Custodian of culture
for Ikorodu.
But honestly, I think that
let's move on now. We have here also Good Morning Mainland FM. Time tomorrow will come and go as usual. The elections will be smooth and God will hide hoodlums away from the polls. Amen. I pray that only the ones that will bring progress to their states win. Amen. Gabriel from Ogijo. Thank you
I
very
like
much.
the prayer points here. Try the ones of the hoodlums. God should help us keep them
Try
somewhere.
them. Good
Keep them
morning.
busy.
This is Joshua from Oregon. My take this morning is about the security in Lagos. Hope you people have seen the video of the chairman threatening people. So what are we expecting tomorrow if that happens today? Well,
we expect the security operatives to deal with
To
that.
do their
If
job.
anybody comes out to disrupt the elections, they know how to deal with them. They'll handle them.
Fuhad, can I ask something? Because something
They'll
like
fix
this
them, like
happened
someone-
in Kano. It was in paper yesterday where 2 people were actually arrested or were called in for questioning because they made a live video and they were threatening people. But then why are we not seeing that replicated in other states where people are called in for questioning
say
after
it
they
with
make
your
inciting
full chest.
statements?
Say it
with
know,
your full
please,
chest.
I'm the breadwinner.
I think what we'll do, no, it's not a problem. I think what we'll do is to see whether Okwemi Akiode can reach out to
no,
the
Ben is going to be on
Ben
the
in the-
situation
okay, this
room.
evening.
Yes,
So we'll
yes,
throw
this
the
evening.
questions to him.
He
that
was
day.
also
The last time out
yes
here.
he was on Tuesday.
Okay.
Community
On
platform.
community platform. He was on community platform talking about security and all of that. But because this video came in later,
Okwemi would ask you,
yes,
yeah.
so Okwemi is he's going to join Okwemi this evening for about 10 minutes or so, talking about the plans for Lagos State and also that video, what's going to be done.
That's the police PR in Lagos State.
Yes, that's Benjamin Hunde.
Yeah.
Yes, all right. So stay tuned by 4 p.m. More details coming as regards that. All right. We also have good morning, Mainland crew. I expect everyone to troop out early in an orderly manner. Allow INEC to fulfill their promises to Nigerians. Good for INEC to have started the distribution of sensitive and non-sensitive materials. It shows they have learned from their previous mistakes. As per low turnout of voters, Fuhad, I think the system has disenfranchised about 10 million people,
Okay.
such as INEC staff, both ad hoc and normal, media houses, security personnel, other election observers.
Okay.
Olasheni from Surulere brought out a vital one. We had that conversation at the last election. Now, why can't we have, what's that?
Early voting.
Early voting
For people like us.
for people like us, the media, the INOC ad hoc staff,
Staff,
the
yeah.
security guys. Also.
Observers.
Yes,
I had my PVC, I couldn't vote. Yeah.
I have my PVC.
So you can't vote. So, a valid one from Olasheni. I think a valid one. Yeah.
All right, on this cash policy, this will linger till May or might not even linger a while longer. Did you know the CBN supply as low as 2 million to some banks? Or
What are you going to do?
2 million? Is it one bank or how many banks is that? Well, allegedly by this person
by
now.
this person, yeah.
The new notes will not be printed till December. This person is working with CBN.
How do you know?
I thought it's what just giving his own report.
Thank you very much, Sean. They say Emefiele is angry with Sandra. That's why he left the country, because she has been intimidating him. I'm very sorry. Please let Emefiele, who happens to be Stage's close friend, please come back and release cash for us. As for me, I think
us our
INEC
money.
will deliver this election
Okay.
because they will want to gain the people's trust.
We hope so.
Talking about voting in some states, there will be low turnout of voters, especially in Lagos. Peter from
I
Egbeda,
don't know why people think Lagos should be peaceful. I'm hoping that it will be peaceful.
when we have videos like that trending,
We'll
and
ask Benjamin.
antecedents for
We'll ask Benjamin really what the police
exactly.
wants to do
So
about that.
something needs to be done. It needs to be investigated.
Better
But
than-
the
yeah.
forensics guys should check the video. Samson from Yanokwaja. Good morning. All elections in Nigeria, with the exception of 1993, has always been rigged. So to some extent, 2023 figure will have given the true picture through deployment of beavers.
Yes, yeah.
But due to the charade of vote sorting, plus and minus, however, I doubt if the Leopard can change its spots. On the Naira, where is the National Assembly with their oversight functions? We only have people who have turned the country to make money-making machine ventures instead of deceiving ourselves that we are having any governance of checks and balances, as Fuhad is always singing. Yes, Fuhad is always looking for checks and balances. Please, okay, this is, okay, maybe we'll round up with this. It's very long. Good morning. My expectations are from INEC, transparency and credibility, professionalism from all staff and ad hoc staff of INEC, all staff to desist from collusion with politicians, ensure adequate security personnel in troubled areas like Okota, Lekki, Surulere,
Oshodi
Etiosa,
too?
Port Harcourt, Oshodi. Prompt attendance of staff at polling units.
Coming
Resumption.
early, yeah.
Yes.
Please don't compromise on the results. Zero fraud during collation from polling unit to the final level. Don't impose any candidates on Nigerians. For security agencies, more than enough personnel, combined forces all around the polling units. Discourage vote buying. Disallow ballot snatching. Ensure whoever snatches comport themselves in a civil manner. All our youth should come out in their large number to vote their choice candidates. Taiwo from Itele Road in Ota. Thank you very much.
Itele.
Itele.
Ota, yeah.
Okay. We also have good morning, Sandra, Sage, and Fuhad. How is people giving you title? Are they going to fund you at the next
What title
election?
is this one?
Honorable.
Whoa.
I expect that INEC transmits results for the governorship and House of Assembly elections to clear the doubts of so many people, most especially as it concerns Lagos governorship elections. Security agents should be more proficient compared to the presidentials. Voter intimidation shouldn't be permitted, no matter how little, so as not to be an excuse for losing election. God bless you all. Joseph from Ogba. Sharing his own. And then we have good morning crew. Why can't you ask the police commissioner to arrest the person in that video? Okay.
You can't tell him to arrest, but we'll ask him questions about that video.
And the PPRO, the public relations officer of the police, will be joining us via the phone line by 4 p.m. All right, and that's from Dayo from Fagba. Okay, we'll also have AY from Oshodi. I expect disappointment from INEC. It's very unhappy.
Well, there are sometimes that you expect somebody or someone
be shocked,
and then the person just shocks you. So
I think AY wants to be shocked.
Okay,
They should shock him.
And of course, I hope INEC will do
They
that.
will shock him. All right. Okay. I expect passion from Nigerians. Strictness from the armed forces. It's very, very concise with what is expected. All right, and good morning, Sandra and Fuhad. I look up to the security operatives because if some people can succeed in their threat against the voters, then Nigerians will see them as accomplices. Mr. Tony from Okota, thank you very much. And that's a wrap on today's Mainland Focus. Thank you very much, Sage, Babalola, and Fuhad Saheed for joining in on the conversation. Of course, Okwemu joins by 4 p.m. in the Situation Room. He's having guests on the show. And also all through tomorrow from 7 a.m. up until, voting ends.
Watch out for us. We may just be at your polling unit reporting the voting process.
Getting your information.
Yeah.
Live from the polling unit. All right. Stay with us. We'll be back by 9:45 for... apologies. Today is Friday.
Yeah.
So coming up next is Arkview Half Hour.